What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Supra build. Now, recently this build has maybe gotten a little bit out of hand and is taking a little bit longer than anticipated. But if you stick with me, I don't know, maybe subscribe, I think it's going to be worth it. Because if you remember correctly, this entire Supra series is built around making the Supra faster than my Evo. And you can find the entire build series on this car right here. And if you've been following along with this journey, then you've already seen us remove the fuel pumps, pull basically the entire intake side of this car apart, and remove the entire wiring harness. Flying spaghetti monster garbage. And then sticking with the theme of if this car doesn't need it, it's coming out. We're making the engine bay look better, we're saving some weight, and we're making my life a whole lot easier working on this car moving forward. So today, we have these two little doodads. This is basically everything you need to delete the factory oil cooler on a 2JZ, which is this whole mess going on right here. Now you might be saying, why would you delete an oil cooler? Don't you want cool oil? I do, but in reality, this is going to be a fun weekend car. It's not going to be any type of track warrior. It's never going to see bad weather, and it's not going to see hot laps or pull after pull or anything like that. And removing the factory oil cooler still gives me the ability to add an aftermarket oil cooler later down the road, one that will perform even better than the factory oil cooler does anyway. With the new aftermarket ECU that I'm installing, I'll have the ability to monitor the oil temperature moving forward so that I know whether or not that's even going to be necessary. With that being said, let's get that big old thing out of there. Now, before we get too far, let's talk about what an oil cooler actually does. So engine oil will come out of the block into here, run through this system, through your oil filter, and then back into the engine. While that's happening, through these ports here on the sides, there's also engine coolant running through this. Now, the two liquids never mix. They're in two separate areas of this cooler. And the reason that that happens is because there's two things that engine coolant does better than oil. It gets up the temperature faster, and it doesn't get as hot. So by running engine oil through passages that come in contact with passages that engine coolant is running through, whenever you first start your car, the coolant getting up to temperature faster helps the oil also get up to temperature faster than it would if it didn't have coolant helping it. And also, once everything is up to operating temperature, the engine coolant helps keep the oil a little bit cooler than it would be if it was just by itself. And keeping the engine oil temperature in check is the more important job of an oil cooler, but there are typically better ways to do it than to use engine coolant. The most common way is to flow the oil away from the block through some type of radiator, usually an external oil cooler, and then back to the block at a lower temperature. Which, if I do see oil temperatures getting a little out of control, is the route that I will go by adding a plate in between the block and the oil filter where I can run that oil to an external oil cooler. But we'll cross that bridge when the time comes, and I'm not sure that it will be necessary for this particular car. Let's get this thing put back together. And of course, nothing but the best. Another huge shout out, Powerhouse Racing. This guy's always got what you need if you have a Supra. Look at how much better that looks. So having that oil cooler out of there looks so much better. But also, there's a lot more room. And I think it's gonna make oil changes a lot easier moving forward. I don't know how they could get any harder on a Supra. And that's actually gonna do it for this one. Pretty short episode, but a necessary step for getting this build going in the right direction. So come back next week when we start putting this thing back together. Maybe. See you.